I'm a Facebook Live video marketing coach and consultant, and we are live today on YouTube, on a Facebook group page, on a Facebook business page, and on a personal profile. So you can see us coming from 4 different locations a day, all at one time. Let's streamline this mofo. I've got a few exciting guests with me today. The Hatted Therapist, Elliot. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and what you do?
Hey, what up, everyone? I'm Elliot Andre. I'm the Hatted Therapist. I'm with Connected Roots. I'm an active lifestyle coach and group therapist alongside my wife, who is an individual therapist in Boulder.
Love it. And then we are also joined by the Mark Azalea. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and how you save people's lives?
Yeah, very flattering. Thank you. I'm Mark Azalea. I'm a therapist in private practice in Gun Barrel, Colorado. Work with like angry dudes and people want to do depth psychology, do psychoanalysis, and I also do business development, organizational coaching.
I love it. So other than the, good looks that are in this Facebook Live today, we want to talk about something a little different. So if you're following me, I'm probably shoving the idea that Facebook Live is epic and you should be doing it. And ultimately, I don't think you want to hear from me as much anymore. So what I have are 2 guys with me that have used Facebook Live to benefit themselves greatly, not only for their business brand, but what you don't always recognize people are growing is their personal brand. Like, who in this stream or who in life can say, I know what I'm going to be doing in 10 years? Nobody. So we need to be building our own brand at the same time. And I want to allow these guys to talk a little bit about not only how they use Facebook Live, but the things that don't work, the things they see that do work, and how they're starting to grow their business. And I have no preference on who starts. So who wants to go first?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and dive in. I mean, so Facebook, I'm working with you. I think I met you 2 years ago, something like that at this point.
Yeah.
We met for lunch somewhere, and I would just love the idea of Facebook Live. I love the idea of getting out there, speaking, learning about, myself, about the world, engaging with the community. It's awesome. I think the thing that I try to tell people about it is, yes, it helps your business for sure, right? Like, I have people that come to me all the time. They're like, oh, I saw that video on so-and-so. Like, what do you think about this? I get, it kind of starts conversations, gets my face and name out there. But really, one of my goals is to do way more speaking, way more presenting. I love doing keynotes. I love doing workshops. I love doing groups. I like just performing. And Facebook Live has, the way I've scheduled it, it's given me opportunities to practice speaking, which is huge, right? Because like any skill, it's really hard to learn. And I had to get over my own nerves about it. I had to learn how to structure an argument. I had to learn how to say pretty complex, psychoanalytic stuff in 10 minutes, at the most. So I'm creating this way that I can constantly, practice and learn and develop my speaking skills. And I think it's worked. I mean, it helped me feel more confident and helped me really crystallize a lot of the thoughts that I do have as a therapist. Because, the way I practice, I don't talk a lot. I do a lot of listening. I do a lot of interventions. But this lets me kind of have a platform to actually talk and do a little bit more education, which is great. I think it's a really good synergy with the way that I work. So I've loved it. It's been cool.
Love that. And what I hear from you is you are interested in just fine-tuning the skill of gathering thoughts on the run, because that's what people don't know. And Elliot, I'm sure you can even touch on that a little when you talk. Mm-hmm. In the beginning, it is rocky as hell. You lose your train of thought, you look into the lens, you get lost, and then you wake up 3 months later and you're like, well, I'm somewhat good at this. Does that seem what you've noticed as well, Elliot, as you kind of get better at just formulating thoughts on the go?
Yeah, it's been really helpful in a sense of my non-scripted way of life. I think I think getting in front of a camera, like Mark said, is really exciting and fun and super helpful in the sense of building this confidence that I feel like I always had but never was able to fine tune. And with the live platform and interviewing so many therapists, the idea of concepts and ideas on the go is just coming so much more fluid to me as I've practiced over the last couple months. And it's just been really fun. It's been really interesting to see how, like Mark said, how people recognize you, your face, your brand, and anything about you. And I mean, Danny gave me the Hatted Therapist idea when we sat down and talked that one time, and man, I'm rolling with it. And people now are coming up to me and seeing me and be like, "You, I know you from somewhere." And I'm like, "Yeah, you do."
You with the hat.
To the point where, yeah, I get it. So it's been extremely helpful for me in my business and my brand. like I was telling Danny and Mark off camera, is like we're full, you know, and I think a lot of it is attributed to the amount of times people see my face. So I think it's a pretty cute face, and I think people enjoy it. So, you know, I'm going to keep
denying that. We'll give you that, Elliot.
You know,
he's the moneymaker.
I don't know.
Exactly. It's the hat and the face. That's the only thing people know about me anymore. So, you know.
So I want to highlight two things Elliot said, because again, I want these to sink in for you. They're noticed in more spaces, which means that if you're in any, so they're both therapists, but if you're in any type of referral partnership, when somebody has a referral across their plate and they have to say a name of who's going to do that, the benefit with Mark and the hatted therapist Elliot is that they probably saw their face that week on Facebook Live. Now, this is the key part. It doesn't even matter if they actually clicked and watched Elliot's entire live. They saw his face, they got a digital touch, and then those referrals start to come in. And that is something that a lot of people forget. And the second thing that that I think Elliot does a little better than Mark, because Mark is branding himself to be a public speaker. Well, this is just another thing that I teach, which I call social hacking. Elliot invites tons of colleagues onto a show. Come on to my show. Come on to my show. Talk about what makes, Mark's like, I want to be interviewed. Don't.
Yeah. I'm like, I got lots of.
We'll get you. We've been there once. We'll go again.
Yeah.
But he gets to interview colleagues, and then Elliot, can you feel this like bond that gets created that can not get created any other way when you interview those people?
I think the essence of interviewing other people is such an incredible learning experience for both people communicating in the situation. The bond is there. I think there's a really nice sense of rawness and vulnerability when we're communicating with each other about something we're passionate about. And I've seen that so many of our viewers and listeners and people out there, friends, family, just connect with that so much deeper than I think they would if we were just talking on the phone or texting or what have you. It's just a really interesting and cool way that I've noticed I've found more connection and excitement within myself when communicating with others. It's really been helpful. Honestly, I don't think I could do the live on my own. Honestly, I've tried, and it's not nearly as exciting for me. So you're going to be talking to somebody else and learning about what they're doing in the essence of really destigmatizing mental health and being the forefront in that in itself has just helped so many people who watch.
I love it. And let's talk about another point that I like to call embrace the suck. Embracing the suck. I know there's that time, Mark, when you first got started, Elliot, when you first got started, where it was a little rocky. Like things were going wrong. You were making mistakes. Equipment wasn't working right. Yeah. But you pushed through. Talk about that beginning stage. And Mark, you haven't got to say anything in a minute, but talk about that beginning stage of overcoming and embracing the suck.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that maybe all of us share. This idea that like when we encounter an obstacle, we want to go over it. We want to like break through it. Yeah. I've learned that that's a very rare trait. Some people encounter obstacles and they flee, right? Or they hide, or they lie, or they cover it up in some way. But I've always loved the idea of overcoming challenges, and the stuff you're talking about, like overcoming things that are more emotional, like, the nerves, or feeling like I'm dumb and I have like nothing to offer, right? Or the physical things, like literally, how do I get this camera to work, or like what microphone to buy, or like what my light setup, looking like. All that stuff. I actually enjoyed the learning process. And there's a lot of suck in there. There's a lot of like feeling like I'm just like burning money because I just like buy the wrong thing and it's like hundreds of dollars, or like, I don't know how to set things up. Or I just, everything sounds weird, I come out robotic. I mean, there was definitely a lot of bumpy roads kind of coming together. But, it's, for me, that's engaging. I think with therapy, at least where I'm at, I'm like transitioning my career. It can get samey sometimes. It can get very routine, kind of monotonous. It's still enjoyable and rewarding, but it's very routine. So I need something like this. I love projects. I mean, something where I can try something new, throw myself into something, learn a whole new skill set, right? Like I'm a talker. I wasn't so much of a tech person. To learn all this stuff is like really, really cool and rewarding for me. I've loved just going through that process.
Yeah. And Elliot, I know, firsthand, you were somebody that I had on a live, and I looked you in the eyes and said, you're now going to start going live every week. And you, without any other follow-up, because most people need about 19 more kicks in the rear to do it. Elliot just started to go out and do it. But with that in the beginning, I was there to just kind of help you through a little bit of that tech, those issues, and talk about just, even doing it, not knowing what was going on, and the fact that just because you had a bad stream, people didn't stop talking to you forever?
Yeah, those first couple times, man, were really tough, especially with the tech and everything kind of not on my side. It was definitely demoralizing. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, why am I doing this, Danny? Like, what the hell? Like, I'm resentful that he's making me do this because I can't pass up a challenge. Yeah, I think the first couple of interviews that I had with people that were really close to me, like my dad, for instance, kind of helped ease me into that space where from then on, getting 1,000 views on a video, man, was so cool to me. I was like, what? This is like the first time I do this. I got 1,000 views. Like, I can just take this and run with it. And then from then on, I just kind of hit the ground running. And from there, I don't really care about the views as much anymore because, people are going to see. They're going to see if they do, if they don't, whatever. It's, again, just getting my face out there and just being a part of the community and just allowing people this free psychoeducation and marketing for all of us out there who have started businesses in the last year or so. Everybody I've talked to is pretty established in what they're doing, and I think a lot of it is because of being interviewed, talking like Mark said, and engagements, and just putting themselves out there. I mean, for those who aren't doing this, you need to do this 100%. You need to do this, people. I'm telling you.
Yeah, let's get to work, because again, I love that you touched on something else, because it's not about the views. And right. Mark, I know you can touch on this as well. Ultimately, you get to do what you love. I love the things that Elliot just said about purpose. And look, you get to talk to these people. You get to do this stuff. You get to be more recognized in your industry. And views are something that will just demoralize people. And Elliot, not everybody gets that quick $1,000 fix. I mean, that 1,000 view fix right off the bat. But Mark, why don't you talk about the slow grow, man, of getting people to start to interact with you, and talk about that?
Yeah. I mean, I think this is true definitely for our industry. I'd assume for most industries, referral based, where there's kind of like pillars of the community, right? And, I'll speak from therapy because I know that the best, right? Like every year around like May, you get a bunch of new graduates that come out. There's like this giant wave of people, and there's people that stand out and people that don't. But over time, they kind of like degrade because it takes a lot of consistency to like keep going. But over time, if you keep doing stuff like this, if you keep doing, I do a lot of presentations, a lot of workshops, a lot of teaching, I run a nonprofit, I'm out there networking. If you kind of keep doing that, you become like a pillar of the community where you're just like you're like a standing feature, right? Where people can then organize around. I mean, I think Danny and Elliot, you've done that too, where it's like people, you're just kind of, household names probably a little bit too grandiose, but this idea that like people recognize us when we go places, right? And people like associate to us, they orient to us. And that has been really cool. And I want to also touch back on what Elliot said about breaking the stigma of mental health, because I wish, this is a regret, I wish I said this more explicitly earlier in my career, because I do experience people get envious. But what I really want to say, and this is where I come from, is that we're all on the same team. So like me going live, you going live actually helps the whole industry. And just get that, people, like we're out there, like, yeah, we're talking about ourselves and what we do and our ideas, but the idea is that we're also forwarding the industry. So jumping aboard, if you haven't done live again, is really helpful, because it makes all therapists more visible, and makes the idea of therapy being more visible. And I think that's just so critical. It really breaks down that ivory tower mentality that I think our industry tends to have. So we need more vocal people. We need more people that can get out there and share like all the knowledge that we have.
Yeah, I mean, especially in the mental health and substance abuse industry, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, there is that stigma. The one thing I always say is Hollywood does a much better job at telling the story of what this is. But they don't tell the story the right way. They tell the sensationalized story that sells. And I always use the Shameless analogy. If anybody's seen Shameless on Showtime, Frank, like, alcoholics are just lazy pieces of that don't do anything and don't care about anyone. And it's from people that actually get to be in this industry and get to know what is actually going on with these people. It's going to take a lot of us talking to change the narrative. And I really applaud you guys for doing that, because you do both talk about some amazing things and you highlight some amazing people. And the last part that I want to talk about, especially since you're both in client relationship referrals, and this is true for any industry, not mental health. What happens is when you do live video and you put video out there, people will visit your webpage, then they'll find your Facebook page, and what they get to do is they get to listen to you communicate, and they get to decide at that point whether they like you or not. Because hot tip, everybody's not gonna like you. I just get used to it. Just get used to it. I know there's some daisies out there that are like, oh, what do you mean? But let people see who you are, what you stand for, how you talk, how you communicate, and you can almost eradicate these no-show consultations altogether. Have you guys seen a decrease in any of that?
Yeah, totally. I mean, people look at my stuff, right? I mean, I have clients that come and say, oh, I saw your video. I did a procrastination series that people loved. And they're like, oh, I saw you talking about procrastination. I really struggle with that. Like, that's exactly what I'm working on. Boom, like the connection's made. I didn't even have to really do much, right? Like that video just out there as kind of content for my clients. And I have people that will, look at my website after a session and like look at a Facebook Live video or look at a book recommendation or whatever. And just like, it's just giving them more resources in a way that for me as a business owner is sustainable, because I don't have to be constantly emailing people all the time, right? Or typing something up fresh. I have this archive of stuff that I can refer people to, which helps a ton.
Big time. Elliot, anything for you on that?
Yeah, I think one thing I've noticed is that there was a lull in census for a minute, for our group therapy that we run, and I was, because I honestly I feel like wasn't doing enough marketing for the group and sense of Facebook Live. I wasn't doing anything any other way other than that, and then the ebb and flow of people coming and finding us again was insane. It's like there was we were like canceling groups one week, and then a week later, after I did like 3-4 lives in a row, and again, I might just be the way the world works, yet the groups are full again. So it's like people are out there, people are seeing what we're doing. I mean, I'm getting people saying, oh, I found you on a blog. I'm finding you on live. I'm finding you on your website now. And I think all this really helps with the building of the SEO and who you are, and just people seeing your face and knowing what you do just based on that alone, I think, like you said, is such a easier way for people to connect and see your vulnerability and your rawness and want to work with you for sure.
Yeah, it reminds them that you're human. I mean, again, Hollywood, everybody thinks that when they come to see you, you're going to lay them down on a couch. Here comes the pad of paper.
I actually do that.
Tell me about how it happened with your mom.
That's my first session. That's how I practice.
Tell me about mom. What happened with mom? And that's really not the case. Like, you know, in your industry, you guys are people that are walking beside people. When they're in the darkness, you're with them with the light off, and you're just kind of pushing them towards the light. And some people get there at different times, but that's what you're doing. You're helping people get closer to whatever that light is in their life. And you're just more of like a professional, highly trained and skilled coach, but with all these tools and skills that you get taught in school. So I really applaud you guys for doing what you're doing. It's great for the industry, and it's great for live in general, just to see that these mental health and substance abuse people are actually hitting the button, and going live.
Yeah.
So freestyle, any last thoughts you guys want to share about live or building brands or anything like that?
Let me think.
On the spot.
Yeah, I guess as a tip, I think the least amount of preparation you do, the better. That was a mistake that I made early on, is that I had like, you can't see the setup, but I have like 2 computer monitors here. And I'd be going live on this monitor. And this monitor had this whole like set of notes and like PowerPoints. And I'd be constantly like jittering like back and forth between the monitors and like trying to read verbatim. And if I would go off script, I'd like get a panic attack. So now I have my phone, right? And it has a list of topics. And what I do is I pick one almost at random. I go in the shower, I think about it, and then I get in front of the camera and just like spit for like 10 minutes. And the quality has actually increased substantially because, it's a one-take format, right? It's a one-take live format. People want that. They're okay with a more casual presentation. It doesn't have to be like a speech, and that's helped me a lot, just manage the nerves around it. And also I think deliver better content because I can freestyle, I can tell stories, I can make jokes, and I can put more of myself out there instead of trying to keep myself in this like rigid box,
Yeah, totally.
Agreed.
Love that.
Yeah. Let the flow happen naturally.
Yeah.
Prep the better. I think one thing I've noticed too is just in that first 3 seconds of video, bring that energy. Like you gotta just hit it right in the beginning. And I think I was talking to a colleague and somebody was like, Facebook was doing that, and I was like, like, you know me.
Yeah, you got to move.
That.
Yeah.
Not because of who I am. Yet I still love that, and it makes me laugh, and I appreciate it because it's so true. It's like, I'm not going to watch a video where somebody just starts talking pretty bold, blandly right away. So I constantly am in that mindset of just bringing that energy in that first couple seconds and just hitting it hard. So if you're going to do it, make it happen.
I love it. And the last point I'll really talk to really bring that all together is I think the two of you have completely different styles, which is good because you got to make content the way you consume content. Because then you're going to be talking to your people, right? So, Mark, I would say you're the more you take a more educated, collegiate talk approach to your lives, which I love because you're talking to those people you want to talk to. And Elliot, you're in my category of let's just scream and smile and laugh and have fun, and that's our style. But the people that love to watch Mark are going to be like, you're both crazy. Where's the professionalism? Bye. But we're fine with that because ultimately we're going to just make the content for the people that you want to talk to. And at the end of the day, you're still going to win. So keep it up, guys. You guys are doing amazing. Lastly, if you do not know what to do, but you want to do it, the reason I exist is to coach people through the whole process, to sit beside them and take them across this journey from 6 to 8 months until you feel like you can go on your own. And I want more people, human beings, starting to embrace the power of this platform because it's super, super, super helpful. Any shameful plugs or things for your business, guys?
Watch my videos.
Watch my videos.
Yeah. Watch, hang out, comment, say what's up. We're here.
All right. So I tagged both of you guys in the post. So if anybody wants to Facebook stalk these two, they certainly can. Click on their name, get 18 profiles deep into their profile pictures, feel weird, retract, whatever you got to do. That's part of life. But thanks for the time today, guys. I appreciate you really spreading some knowledge about how we all use Facebook Live to build our personal and professional brand. And you guys just keep doing what you're doing.
Hell yeah.
All right, guys. Later, everybody.
See ya.
Peace.